Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of this free-to-play Magic Arena series. So what is this about? I'll be showcasing the free-to-play experience of Magic Arena, tuning the pre-constructed decks the game gives you from the start, opening some packs without spending actual money into the account. Maybe soon we can put together a top-tier deck together, or we may have some fun brews that are sweet and we win some games. My intent for this series is to be a more beginner friendly one, so expect to have more explanations than you might expect. With that out of the way, let's take a look around on what we have here. Okay, so this account I've started like 2 weeks ago, completed some of the quests. The basic the basic play mode is that you complete quests by doing whatever they say, like cast a certain number of spells or do certain number of things to get XP and to get gold. And then with the XP, you can unlock this level of rewards here. Pretty straightforward. You also get packs rewards are usually from here, from your mastery, and they will also give you like a random cards along the way if you complete like this daily win rewards and I'm not sure weekly ones will give you or they just straightly give you XP and gold. But it's just you keep playing the games, you hoard up whatever resources. You also get wild cards like opening packs will some of them will contain wild cards, and opening certain amount of packs will also complete you with the cards as well. Uh, you want to hoard this up. You don't want to spend this on creating a card that you might regret not being able to use later. I've talked about this. Gold. You want to. This is a little tip right from the start. Is that you want to put this number to like 15,000 before you start spending your gold, because sometimes in the store you have like some of the more special lands, basic lands, like these kinds of stuff. If you really like them, and they will only be like available for a limited amount of time. So you can see here you can unlock it with the premium currency, the diamonds, or you can unlock it with gold. Uh, the way it works is that if you don't muster enough gold during the period, you might miss out on this, and you don't want to do that, right? Like, but of course, if you don't care about this kind of stuff, then of course you can just spend your gold freely to buy packs or whatever that is. I've actually bought like one of the sleeves I found is quite interesting as well. And here you can, funny enough, you can see that there is 500 gems here. I didn't spend money on it. It's just that for a very rare occasion, like I believe it's like once a month, the daily deals will give you a chance to buy gems from gold. It's not a lot. It's like 500. It's not even. Do we get enough packs for? Yeah, it's like close to like 3 packs. It's not even 3 packs. It's like just 500 gems doesn't get you anything, but uh, it is a good way to get the premium currency. It takes a long time, so don't expect to get much from it. But you'll want to have it when the chance came. Okay, and we can check out some of the the packs as well. You can see here I have a couple of packs here. Most of these 18 Zendikar Rising packs are from the quest I've talked about, from the mastery I've talked about. But you can see here there are other packs as well. They are from the promo codes which are available. You can just Google it like promo code Magic Arena, and you'll see that you can enter your promo codes into this redeem code column within the store, and then you just get some packs, which should be a lot of help before you get started. Also, before anything, you also get like some of the basic decks as well, like 10 of them. They are two color decks. The stuffs inside are not bad. Actually, I'm pretty impressed with the way they piece together these decks. They are fun to play. They have different styles of playing, and it is re. I believe they have done a pretty good job on it. However, you can sometimes see that the deck some of the good cards in the deck are just like a one-off, mostly just one-off or two, maybe two-offs. Uh, it's not really consistent for the deck to work, and sometimes the mana curve is also pretty strange as well. I mean, you do not see a mana curve like this easily. Like you just a bunch of average averaging on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you just like the numbers are the same. You want them to be like focusing on a certain amount of mana where you try to operate, or the deck operates the best they can. Also, the land counts are a little bit strange to me, so uh, it it will be a good idea to tune them if you want to make them more competitive. Of course, you can still play it uh, as it is, and it is incredibly fun, and it will also help you uh, climb the ladder up for a bit. Speaking of ladder, we can check out the ladder. Yes, so here you can see that this is the ladder where we can climb. You start with the bronze. When you start playing the first rank matches, you get into the bronze tier, and then you just work from there to silver to gold and then to platinum. I believe the basic decks, if you played it the way they should be, um, I think you can get to gold tier, and it is a bit of a stretch if you try to use the basic decks to go into platinum. You need to make modifications to it, make it more consistent before you can actually get into the platinum level. And then for the diamond and mythics, you really need a deck that is more robust than what they gave you from the start. So um, we can look forward to it. I believe so. Uh, this actually the yeah. This is so that's what we have. All right. Next step, we're going to open the packs first before we try to decide which decks we are going to like modify, because I have some in mind. I mean, there is one video I've made it before. I've actually tuned this mutation station deck, a blue black mutation deck, into something a little bit more consistent, I believe. Uh, I'm not very happy about it. It sometimes mana screws itself, as in you don't have enough lands to cast your spells, your creatures, and it still lacks consistency. And also, I sadly found out that the basic decks they gave you, they're fun, but they don't have like the counter spells or the discard spells. Which what counter spell is that they stop your opponent from casting a spell, and discard spell is that when you cast it, you take a look at your opponent's hand and then you can take away cards from them. These cards are very important if you try to uh, play it the way I actually play it. So, uh, but they don't have it. So maybe we can open some of the packs and then see if we can get it. So without further ado, I will start opening the packs. All right. Okay. I won't be reading out all the cards, but I'll highlight some of them which are more important or maybe worth noting. Rimrock Knight, very good. You see a lot of these cards being played in mono red decks, the red color only decks. It has a very nice ability in it. You can cast it with one red mana, and target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. You can use it on your creature to kill another creature if it gets blocked. You can add 2 more damage when your creature is attacking and is not blocked. Also, once you cast it, you can also pay 2 additional mana as well, and then you can just cast the other half of this Rimrock Knight, so that it gives you a 3/1 that cannot block. It's a very aggressive card. You will see a lot of them in the future. Anything else? I don't believe so. Alright, let's check out the rare card. Worthy Knight. This is a good card. Whenever you cast a Knight spell, create a 1/1 human creature token. So I believe the basic decks there is one that is red-white, where it has a Knight theme in it. So it works very well with this Worthy Knight. It's a 2 mana for 2/2, which we usually refer to as the 2/2 bears spells, like your 2 mana for a 2 power and 2 toughness creature. It qualifies as a it is a pass for the creature, and then it also has a nice ability. So it sees a lot of play in knight decks, but not others, because you have to have knights in your deck for it to function, and a certain amount of knight as well. Okay, next pack. Okay, let's see. I don't think we have any good hits here. I mean, this is, I believe, a fourth copy of the Vandermeer, which is a green-white spell, a green-white creature that benefits when you cast creature spells that has adventure. We have a green-white basic deck as well this should go straight into it, I believe. Not extremely great, but left unchecked, it can take away the game very easily. So yeah, there's that. Alright, Oathsworn Knight. 3 mana for a 0/0, enters the battlefield with 4+1/+1 counter on it. So a 3 mana for a 4/4. Attacks each turn, if able. If damage would be dealt to it while it has a +1/+1 counter on it, prevent that damage and remove a +1/+1 counter from it. So it attacks each turn if able. Very aggressive card as well, a Human Knight. Unfortunately, it is a double black card. It will be a lot more different to go into the red-white deck I've mentioned before. But it's still not really a very bad card. I don't think it sees a lot of play though, so there is that. Also, Couple of Fables. You can see this card in one of the blue-green basic decks as well. Whenever one or more non-human creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It's a 5 mana 4/5. It's expensive. It is a large body, and it has a very good ability as well. But you don't get to keep him for long. Like, people just have all sorts of creature destruction spells ready for this kind of stuff. But it is a good card itself, and just because it there is a saying, just because it dies to Doomblade doesn't make it a bad card. Alright, next pack. Okay. Alright, here you can see Memory Theft. 3 mana, a sorcery spell, so you can only cast it during your main step and not anywhere else. You can't cast it in your opponent's step. Target opponent refills the hand, you choose a non-land card from it. The player discards the card. You may put a card that has an adventure the player owns from exile into the player's graveyard. So this is a little bit of a discard I've talked about earlier. I was hoping 3 mana for this kind of effect is a little bit much, but it is a premium effect if you don't have them. So it may go into some of the black decks we play in the future. Let's see if there is any other thing. Mystic Sanctuary is also a card as well. It's a land and also counts as an island as well. So it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more other islands. So if you played it without 3 islands on the battlefield, it becomes very tapped that you can't immediately use it, which is a huge minus, I would say. But it has a very good ability. When this enters the battlefield untapped, you may put target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. So many players try to cast some sort of spells over and over. So this card helps with them. They cast a spell, they play this Mystic Sanctuary, put the spells back onto the top of the library, and then draw it back, and then cast it again. So see some use. I don't think it is we see this much in the current standard format, but we'll see. Okay, let's check out the rare. Charming Prince, very good one. Again, 2 mana for a 2/2 bear. When this enters the battlefield, choose one, scry 2. Scry 2 means you look at the top 2 cards of your library, and then you can decide to put any number of them onto the bottom of your library. Powerful effect, you can use it to smooth draws, and you can scry for like we usually say that you can scry for lands if you need them. You can scry for actions if you are a little bit flooded out on lands as well. So powerful effect. The second one you can choose is you gain 3 life. Also very good. Sometimes you just have a lot of aggressive decks trying to attack at your life total. Restoring 3 life and then put a 2/2 blockers on the battlefield is very good. And the third ability is also a very powerful one. Exile another target creature you own. Return it to the battlefield under you control at the beginning of the next end step. So this sounds a little bit strange. You exile another target creature. It means that you put that creature away and remove it from the game. Then you can return it to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. So once you end your turn, that creature comes back into play. So what this does is that you remove the creature away, and then when it comes back, if the creature is kind of like this one, kind of like the Charming Prince, it comes into play, it has an enter battlefield ability, it triggers again. So it comes back into the battlefield, you can, like for example, you use this Charming Prince to exile another Charming Prince. When it comes back into play, you can do it once more, you can scry, you can gain 3 life or whatever you do. You usually won't do that with Charming Prince, of course, but there are other creatures with very powerful enters the battlefield abilities, and you would want to use this use the Charming Prince on them. So very good card. All right. First Beyond Death, I believe this is the second set, legal sets in standard for the moment. All right, so let's take a look. Okay, Anything worth noting? We have an uncommon wild card, which is pretty good. Mogus favor. Okay, not much going on here, I believe. So let's open the rare. Atreus, Oracle of Half Truth. You get one of these in your blue-black deck as well. Blue-black pre-constructed deck as well. Pretty good card. 4 mana for a 3/2. It has manas, so your opponent will need 2 creatures to block this creature when it attacks. So when it enters the battlefield, target opponent looks at the top 3 cards of your library and separates them into a face down pile and face up pile. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So this basically is a mini so-called fake of action. It gives you cards when you your opponent decided which pile, how to stack up the pile. Usually gives you card. So basically, this plays when you play this out, it replaces itself. So very good card. A lot of good use of it. I don't think we see a lot of play with this card because there are a lot more cards that are 4 mana and do a lot more than Atreus. But I still think Atreus has a place to play in some of the decks. Okay, move on to the next pack. Omen of the Sea. This is a good one. 2 mana flash, meaning you can cast it anytime. You can cast an instant. So you can respond to opponent's spells. You can cast it on your opponent's turn and not just on your turn. Very good card. 2 mana flash. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. I've talked about what scry 2 is. Then draw a card. So basically, it's a 2 mana scry 2, and then it replaces with self with a card. Also, when it is on the battlefield, you can play free to and sacrifice the enchantment to scry 2 again. Very powerful card. Faithful and 3 damage, 3 mana for a 3 damage on any target. Scry 1. 2 expensive 3 mana. Too expensive for a oh, is it? 3 mana for 3 damage is just too expensive. Let's just say this. Okay, we have a common wild card as well, so we'll check out the rare. Drought of the Elysian Grove. Very good. 3 mana for a 2 for a very quality creature itself already. You have 2 abilities as well. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. So for each turn, you can only play 1 land, but with this card, you can play more lands than you do. And there are also all sorts of landfall triggers where in the current new set, the Zendikar Rising set. And with additional lands you can play, you keep triggering them, so it is a very good card. Also, lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. It is not very obvious, but this actually fixes your mana. All lands becomes like every basic land type. So they are all mountains, they are all swamps, plains, islands, and forests. So all your lands produce whatever mana they want. Very powerful card. Very powerful card. It's alas, it's just a one-off. Maybe we can open more in the future. I don't know. Okay. This is the last pack for this Pharaohs Beyond Death set as well. I don't think there is much here. Again, the common and the uncommon slots are not very good. Storm Herald. A 3 mana 3/2 that haze, and then there is a lot of words in it. The short version is it puts auras, which is enchantments that sticks to creatures, onto it, onto this Storm Herald, and then it can attack right away. Well, it is a combo pieces, one of the combo pieces in the aura deck, I believe. Not particularly useful because we just have the one copy. Maybe we can find a use for it in the future. I don't know, but it has to. This is the kind of card where you try to build a deck around it. Like it has a powerful ability, and once it resolves, you stick. Let's say if you stick an aura, like give it a +4/+4 on it, it suddenly becomes a 7/6 creature. Very powerful card indeed as well, but it is a card that requires redundancy. You need additional copies, like full 4 copies, and then you also need a bunch of auras to go with them. So good card, I believe, but you need more copies for it to work. Moving on, Ikoria. Okay, let's see. Mutate creatures. That is a bummer. This is not a very good mutate creatures. Alright. Here you can see this Plowmat, 2 mana instant, destroy target creature with flying. So these are the cards you don't usually put in your main deck because they are simply too narrow. If your opponent doesn't have a creature with flying, you don't use them. It's just a dead card stuck in your hand. But if you play the games with sideboard, like best 2 out of 3, you can have a sideboard of 15 cards, and then you can get to replace some of the main deck cards into your sideboard cards, and this becomes very good card. Maybe you can remove a flying creatures your opponents might be casting that cause you problems, or something else as well. So this is a good card, good sideboard card in a way. But this is a sideboard card, but this is not a very good sideboard card. Because it's simply too narrow. You want your sideboard cards to be like doing a bunch of couple of things, like a Swiss Army knife. But this one just serves one function. Maybe it will have a spot, maybe not. We'll see. Voracious Great Shark. A 5 mana 5/4 that has flash. When it enters the battlefield, counter target artifact or creature spell. Very good. Counter spell is always welcome for me. It has flash. Obviously, if you don't have flash, it counters nothing. Flash as in you can cast it whenever you can cast an instant. This card goes straight into the mutate deck that I might be playing later. So this is a good card. This is a good card. Lots of use to it. A lot of creature spells you might want to counter, and then there is also powerful artifacts like the Great Hand, previously the Lucky Clover, but it is not. It has been banned for the moment. So the Great Hand, also the Ambercliff, yes, the enchantment. No, the artifact weapon that just sticks on the battlefield, and powerful weapons. I'll show you later. You have one copy in like one of the one of the pre-constructed decks, and you want to get rid of it with with effects like this, like counter it or destroy the target, destroy the artifact. Okay, pretty good. Going on. Alright. I'm glad I get the 4th copy of Polywall Symbiote. This frog is the key card for my mutate deck, so pretty good. This one, Unbreakable Bond, very good as well. 5 mana, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it. So this is the kind of card we call the graveyard strategy, where you put things into your graveyard either because they died or you just put it there with a discard effect, and then you play this spell. You can return them into play. Very powerful strategy, but right now it's not as popular because there are a lot of our so-called graveyard hate, where they stop you from using your graveyard in various ways. So, but still, a pretty good card in and of itself. Mythos of Eluna. Okay. There's a lot of spell. Basically, there's a lot of words on the spell. Basically, it's like create a copy of permanent. And if you cast in a certain way, like cast it with a specific kind of mana, you can also have it as a creature to fight another target creature. Not not seeing a lot of play right now, I believe, but still a powerful card. Yeah, but I've tried to use it in the past, but it doesn't really work very well. Not as well as you might expect. Let's just say this. Okay, and also you can notice that as we open these packs, this little circle fills up. So once they fill up, you get wild cards. So you can see here our wild cards are starting to grow, which is a good thing. We can use them to craft more powerful cards, and then maybe we can have a tier deck in the future. All right, let's see. 2 wild cards as well. Very welcoming sight. Not much going on, I believe. Okay. Good. Dirgebrat. It is also a mutate creature, and very good. Very good. I mean, this goes into the mutate deck straight away. I believe they have 1 copy in the deck, and this acts as a second copy. Very good. It has flash and flying. When you mutate on this creature or it mutates, destroy target creature or planeswalker. Powerful effect. Can't get any better. A little too expensive, I believe, if you try to mutate it. So usually it just gets cast for 4 mana, and then you mutate it with something else. Okay. Moving on to our core 2021 collection. All right. Let's see. Duress, the the classic discard spell. Very powerful. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. The player discards the card. This can be used to take away whatever spell you might not to face, like an Ugin, a powerful planeswalker that once resolved, it basically is game over. You can take away their powerful sorceries, like the Genesis Ultimatum as well. You can take away a very key pieces as well. Sometimes early in the game, you can take away a card that they might be able to cast in on their mana curve to kind of try to stumble them. Very good use for a card. It looks very innocent. It's like 1 mana sorcery, and then just force your opponent to discard a card. You're trading them a card for a card, but it is a very powerful. It also gives you information on what your opponent is going up with. You can take away removal spell if you are playing a creature deck. So lots of good use for a 1 mana cost card. It's such a beauty. Alright, so miscast. 1 mana counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 3. This is the counter spell I'm talking about. Not the best counter spell. You probably don't want it in the main deck because your opponent might not be playing any instant or sorcery. Again, this is a dead card if that's the case. But sometimes you can have this and then just counter their instant or sorcery with if they don't suspect it and prepare an additional 3 manas to play with it. So very good, very good. Let's see. Not much. This is a card that's very old, actually, I believe. Like Legion or something. Okay, Feline Sovereign. I believe it's a Cat Lord. 3 mana 2/3. Whenever one or more cats you control deals combat damage to a player, destroy target artifact or enchantment. And also, other cats you control get +1/+1 and have protection from dogs. +1/+1 is powerful if you play cat tribal, like all other creature you cast are cats. Then it's very powerful. A lord effect. What we call lord effect, like a creature of a certain type gets +1/+1 on their power. So very powerful. Why we call it a lord effect is that the very first lord is called Lord of the Atlantis, I believe. A Merfolk lord that says all Merfolks get +1/+1. Powerful card. The second clause, where they destroy artifacts or enchantment, may not be as relevant as well. This card, I believe, doesn't see a lot of play. I've seen people try to build a cat and dog tribal, and they have like one of these cards in it, but they don't do very well. So yeah, maybe I don't know. All right, let's see. Seasoned Hollowblade, very good card. A 2 mana 3/1. When you discard a card, it becomes indestructible and tap it. Aggressive creature goes into a lot of Winnie decks or aggressive decks that has white in it. You can discard a card to protect it from like a destruction spells or like a board wipe effect. Very good card. You can't ask for more with a card like this. So yeah, very good. Garrott's Uprising. This is also good. When it enters the battlefield, if you control a creature power 4 or greater, draw a card. So if you have a large creature on the battlefield and then you cast this, it essentially replaces itself already. Creature you control have trample, so this is relevant because it prevents your opponent from what we call chump blocking. Is that they try to stop your like 8/8 big creatures to attack through them with like a 1/1 or 2/2 creatures. Trample gets through them and then deals the rest damage to the opponent. Very good. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. So this is a little card engine for green. I don't believe green has a lot of powerful draw card spells. Omnef. No, but Omnef is bad. But this one not see a lot of play because you want card drawings from other colors. But for if you are free to play, you get this card. It is powerful. You can put it into the mono green decks straight away. It is very good in that deck. Also, I believe this goes into the blue green ramp ramp deck, pre-constructed ramp deck as well. Very good, very good. Others not as well. Okay. The rare is Idol of Endurance. What this does is basically they try to uh, let's see, there's a lot of words in it. I don't think I remember them all. Okay, so this card, when it enters the battlefield, you pay 3 mana for it, and then you exile all the little creatures in your graveyard. And then when you pay 2 and then tap it, you can cast one creature spell from among the card exiled with this without paying its mana cost. Not as good. I mean, there are cards that does this kind of effect way better than it. There is a card called Lurus, like it's a 3 mana 3/2 creature. It has lifelink, and then there is also a clause where you can, for once each turn, you can cast a 1 or 2 mana permanent spells from your graveyard right into play. So this is not a very good card because it has an obvious upgrade to it. You don't want to spend so much mana into it as well because it limits you into creatures that are cost 3 or less. So it is only creature, and it also has to be cost 3 or less. So this has to be like a very aggressive deck already. And then you also have to pay 2 mana to use the effect. Not just it sounds good, but no, this is not a good card. Okay. Now see, this is a card I like. Return to Nature. So you can choose one to just destroy target artifact, destroy an enchantment, or exile a card from a graveyard. Powerful effect. Again, this is possibly a cyber card. I've seen some of them in the main deck to deal with like a lot of artifacts where it's very annoying. I've mentioned it, Evercleave, Great Henge. This gets it away cleanly. It's an instant as well, so people won't get any benefits even if they cast that artifact. So powerful card, it could be in the main deck, but I usually would just put it in the sideboard. I don't know. Okay. Eliminate. Destroy target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 3 or less. Good card. Clean answer to small planeswalkers and creatures. I don't think there are powerful planeswalker that cost 3 or less. This eliminate gets to eliminate, but there are a lot of creatures that cost 3 or less you want to deal with, like the 3 mana. I don't really have the Lust Struck Beast. Yes, 3 mana 5/5. It cannot attack unless you control a 1/1 creature. Things like that. Very powerful effect, but once they start to cast like 4 mana or 5 mana creatures, this does nothing. So use with caution. I believe we also have 2 in the pre-constructed deck as well. You get 2 copies in the pre-constructed decks as well. So this one is you can see a green and X. So X, you can decide to pour whatever number of manas into it. Wildwood Scorch enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on another Hydra non-Hydra creature you control, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So I've seen this card being played in some of the +1/+1 counter centered strategy. So it's not bad. It's not a bad card. Okay, Temple of Triumph. I see this card. I think it's a good card. It is the kind of dual lands where it enters the battlefield, tap the when it enters the battlefield, scry 1. The scry, this is the scry land, they usually call it, because it enters the battlefield and then you get to scry. Not as powerful as before because there is a lot of rogue players running around where they will just mill your top cards into your graveyard. So when you scry them and then you put a card on top, they usually will just get rid of it uh, with ease. So scry them wasn't very good in the current format, but I still believe it is a very good card. When you get to scry, you can scry away like a lands that you don't want, or you can sometimes when you take a mulligan to 6 or even 5, and then you hold on to a scry land to scry for another mana source so that you can like keep a one lander hand. So it has its use. It's just that I believe it is because of the dominance of rogue players that this seems like a bad card. All right. We move on to one of the more decks, more packs as well. The Zendikar Rising packs, which is the current set. Okay, let's see. What do I have here? I don't think I get much from here, but 2 wildcards are always welcome. Covet the prize. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. If you have a full party, you may cast a spell with command mana cost 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. This is the party is the new mechanics in Zendikar Rising. This card I don't think it sees a lot of play in the current format. You have to build it around party creatures, that is cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard. And to have this card consistently find a card and then to get to cast it, I don't think there is a deck that is very good at doing it. So, maybe. Let's see. More party creatures. Ah, this one. You can see here there is a what do I call it? This is the I forgot it because it's the two-sided cards in this Zendikar Rising format. It's not really a new concept, but this card you can either cast it as a land or you can play it as an instant. Very good actually, because you don't want your decks to be filled with a bunch of lands, and also you don't want to not have lands when you want to cast some of the more expensive spells. It gives you this card gives you the options to whether to keep it as a spell or you play it as a land. This card is not very good. The effect is that creatures your opponent control gets -2, -0. It's not even a fog. It does nothing. But other of these, I believe it's called MDFC. Modal dual face cards, yes, MDFCs. Others are much more powerful. I hope to open it in the upcoming packs. So let's see. All right, the rare. Shadow's Verdict, pretty good. A 5 mana, this kind of effect we call it Wrath. Exile all creatures and planeswalker with converted mana cost 3 or less from the battlefield, and all creatures and planeswalkers with converted mana cost 3 or less from all graveyards. Very good. It wipes out all creatures, all small creatures and small planeswalkers. Not seeing a lot of play because 5 mana is a lot, and wiping out small creatures, you sometimes leave like a 4 mana or even 5 mana creatures on the battlefield where you can't deal with, then this card is not an answer as well. But in general, I think it was supposed to be a good card. Uh, I think this card, if we are trying to build a control deck, we it is a premium for us because we don't have any what we call board wipe effects, where we can just clean up the board of of creatures. Like your opponent is like 1 mana, one creature, 2 mana, 2 creature, 3 mana, a 1 and a 2 creature. It's like it's very horrible to deal with. This card cleanly just clean them up, no problem. So it has its use. Just uh, yeah, there are other better cards than this board wipe spells, but it's still a good pool. Good pool. Okay, let's see. This is the rogues I'm talking about. I've mentioned that there are rogue players running around in the ladder, and this is one of those rogues. You won't usually see this one, but it's good for explanation. So it has flash. Most of the rogues has flash. They can be played during your opponent's turn, and they usually have abilities where they can mill cards. So they try to thin your library, and by putting your cards in the library into your graveyard, uh, it is very powerful. I mean, the the creatures are very aggressive. Like 1 mana, you can have a 3/2 Death Touch, or like 2 mana 1/3 that is a Rogue Lord, get +1/+0 for all the rogues if your opponent's graveyard has like a lot of cards in it. Um, Very annoying strategy, to be honest, but very powerful indeed. So this one, yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Kybera Takedown. That's good. This is what I'm hoping to draw into. You can play it as a land, it enters the battlefield tapped, so obviously it's not as good as a plains, but you also get the options to cast it as an instant. So for 2 mana, you can deal damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker. This is a very good card where I think it goes into some of the aggressive strategies of the white splash decks, like the white black decks for clerics, or the white red decks for knights as well. Very good card. Very good card. Bloodchief's first premium removal, 1 mana, take away a planeswalker or creature that is cost 2 or less. If you play the kicker, that is, if you instead of casting it for 1 mana, you cast it for the 1 mana plus the 2 and a black mana, you get to destroy any creature or planeswalker instead. Uh, premium removal. The only drawback is that it's a sorcery, so sometimes you don't want your opponent to you need the instant speed removal, like the eliminate we have seen earlier. The 2 mana just instantly deals with the creatures, but this one is a very good card, a very good card. Okay, Confounding Conundrum. This has its use. It's a very it's kind of a cyborg card. Before, when Omnath, there is this creature that's called Omnath. This in play, this card is very useful. It stops people from trying to play multiple lands in a turn. Let's see. Yeah, what it does is that it basically stops people from playing multiple lands in a single turn by forcing the player to return a land whenever they do this. I don't think I see this in the current decks, because decks right now are not trying to do that anymore. So yeah, it's a more narrow cyber card now than before. Yeah. Okay. let's see. This Core Blade Master 2 mana for a 1/1 double strike, very powerful. Equip the warriors you control have double strike. If you are playing a warrior tribal deck, this is quite powerful, but it usually gets instantly removed. So yeah, there's that. Anything else worth noting? This one, 3 mana for a 3/2. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. I see people putting this into the black white life gain deck. I don't think it's a very good card. It dies to shock. So if you spend 3 mana to cast this 3/2 creature, and then they just play a card that's 1 mana, and then it deals 2 damage and get rid of it, it's not a very good trade. But it has its use. It has its use. Wayward Guide Beast. 1 for 2/2 trample and haste. When it deals combat damage to a player, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Not useful. You don't want to return your land to your hand when it hits the player, because if you play this and you allow and you attack with it, your opponent likely won't block it because they know full well that you'll just return a land to your hand. I'm not sure because I've never I've never seen this card even in a mono red deck. Because for me it doesn't sound as bad. Maybe we'll need to play with it around to see if it is really that bad. Yeah, we'll see. But from what I'm expecting, I think if the first turn is that you play a mountain, you play this creature, you attack, and then you bounce back your mountain. It's not a very good trade, because when you reach the second turn, you want to have 2 lands in play to cast more powerful creatures, Rimrock Knights, whatever that is. If you go into the late game and like maybe turn 4 or turn 5 when you draw this, maybe the bouncing of the land is not as painful, but it's still not a top deck you would want. Yes, this is probably a very bad card. Okay. Molecular Blood Priest. This is actually a card I've seen play in some of the party decks that they try to play. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures in your party. Again, the party is the cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard. If you have each one of them, like a cleric, a rogue, and warrior, your opponent loses 3 life or something like that. Not really exciting, but it is a powerful spell. If it gets repeatedly cast or enters the battlefield multiple times, it will drain your opponent. Not as bad as it seems. Not as bad as it seems. This Sagery Shelter, very good. Again, this is the MDFC. You can also cast it as an instant to have your creature gains protection from the color of your choice. Good card. You can give your creature a protection from a color so that it can attack through unblocked, or you can also protect it from a destruction spell if they get targeted. A very good card. This goes straight into by the way, this goes straight into I believe the red white knight deck, also the green white adventure deck as well. This one base camp is the, I believe this is the card that they, yeah, that works with the party, right? Yeah. I believe they've overdone it. This land comes into play tapped. Most of these cards, like the Knights land, where they can tap for white, black, and red, but you can only use it on Knight spells. They don't come into play tapped. This one, not very good. They've overdone it. The tapped clause simply should not exist. Archon of Emiria. 3 for a 2/3 flying. Hey, I already like this card. Second line is that each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. Ah, this is a uh, uh, this is strange. One basic lands your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. So this is a card that goes into the sideboard as well. Each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. It sometimes hurts you if you are playing uh, a, aggro deck, but if you are facing decks that storms, like Storm, where they cast multiple spells each turn, this can stop them, or unless they try to remove it somehow. Uh, mm, I don't think we see play here. We see a lot of play with this creature because we don't have a very powerful Storm deck in the current meta. Yeah. Okay. Let's. Okay. Let's see. Again, this is bad. This is the spell we call Fling. As in, you play mana, 3 mana for an instant. As an additional cost, sack a creature. It deals damage equal to the sacrifice the creature's power to any target. Um, Good card, narrow use, but good card. It can go into some of the red decks where they just pump a creature, attack with it. When the creature is done dealing damage to the opponent, like say 3 or 5 damage, and then you just sacrifice it and then just fling another 5 damage at them. Powerful card, very good. It can also be used to take out some of the more problematic ones, like Planeswalker, when your opponents have blockers on it, where you can't attack through, you can just sack a creature and then just fling it at them and to damage the Planeswalker and have it destroyed that way. Inscription of Ruin. So what this card does is that it is a choose one kind of card. You choose one of the effects, discard 2 cards, or return a cheap creatures from your graveyard to battlefield, or destroy a small creature. It also allows you to pay 7 mana for all 3 effects. Not see a lot of play, I believe, because it is a sorcery. If it is an instant, it's crazy, but it's a sorcery, and it costs way more than it should. Like if you have a Blood Chiefs first, the 1 mana sorcery we've seen earlier, it's just a more clean answer to small creatures, and it also have the versatilities. This card doesn't speak to me as versatility, but do not underestimate the power of target opponent discards 2 cards. I believe if I have this card goes straight into some of the black decks, like black green decks, or the uh, black red decks, more aggressive ones, or trying to gain value from the black green decks, where it is more about a value, because 3 mana and then you just force your opponent to discard 2 cards. It shrinks the hand size. It is basically a 2-for-1 already, although you don't get to choose what 2 cards they may be throwing away. It could possibly be just 2 useless lands. So you have to decide whether it is a correct use for the card, but it is a powerful effect. Do not underestimate the discard 2 cards clause. A wild card, perfect. Others not very notable. Seagate Stormcaller. This is the card that copy a instant or sorcery spells. I believe this card is the core for the Neoform deck with where we might be able to see in the future in historic format. Um, Obviously, it is a mythic, so it's very powerful. It copies a spell that costs 2 or less. I don't think we see play in standard because there is not much 2 mana spell we are seeing in the format, but I think it goes to one of the more dedicated mill deck strategies where there is a 2 mana sorcery that mills you for a lot of cards, and this the Stormcaller copies it and then it mills double that number of cards, and then if that uh, spell gets kicked, I believe it is half of your library. So if they copy that spell, it basically is instant death because they mills your whole library. And if your library's number is at even, then your whole library gets exiled, gets milled from away, and then you cannot draw cards from your library, and then you lose that way. Okay, very good card actually. All right, let's see. Royal Eruption, 2 mana for 3 damage to any target. Well, this and then if it is kicked for 5 mana, oh, I don't think this gets kicked very often. But a 2 mana for a 3 damage to any target, very good. It's still a sorcery, but very good card. I think it goes into uh, the red green decks or the or the red black decks as well. Very good, very good. Uh, let's see. All right, anti-cognition. 2 mana for an instant that counters target creature or planeswalker spell unless its controller pays 2. A very narrow counter spell. I think it sees play in some of the rogue strategies as well because if an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, instead counter that spell and then scry 2. So it is a hard counter. That is, they don't get to have the options to pay mana to stop it. Uh, yeah, and it also benefits from a large graveyard by from your opponent. So yeah, I believe I've seen some of the role players play this. I don't think it is a good enough card to go into it, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Oh, good. A red white dual land. Not dual land. The MDFC dual land. So you can decide whether to cast it as a red or a white land. Very good, very good. I mean, this is not as good as the Shock land we've seen in the Ravnica series, where what is Shock land? Shock land is that when you cast that land, you have the choice to pay 2 life. If you do, that land will comes into play untapped. Otherwise, it comes into play tapped, and that land produces 2 kinds of mana. Maybe it is a red or white. Maybe it's a blue or green or whatever. So this is not as good in my opinion compared to those shark land, but still very good. This obviously goes straight into the red white dual the red white light deck. Okay, let's see. More rogues. I don't like rogues. Inscription of Insight. This is also a powerful spell. You can choose to return two target creatures to their owner's hand. A great effect already. Scry two, then draw two cards. Or target player creates an XX creature where X is the number of cards in their hand. This is a card that I've seen played in some of the decks that tries to exploit the kicker ability. But the strategy is simply too slow. It doesn't have enough support from other cards. Maybe it will be a good card in the future. I don't know. For now, it doesn't see play for a lot. Let's see. Uh, Bushfire Elemental. Perfect card for the red green deck. Perfect card. Uh, 2 mana for a 1/1 haste. It means that when it comes into the battlefield, it doesn't have to wait for a turn to attack. It just goes straight away. And also, it cannot be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So creatures like being cast on the first turn won't get to block it. You don't have to be afraid to attack into a 2/1 creature because it doesn't get blocked. Also, a landfall trigger. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Very good card, very powerful. You want 4-offs in your blue deck or the red green aggro deck. Good card. This one is the kind of effect where they gain control of a creature. Does not see play. Let's just say 5 mana for this kind of effect is way too much. I mean, if it is a 4 mana, then this might see play, but it usually it is for 3 mana, I believe, for sorcery. So 5 mana for a game control type effect is way too much. I don't see where I would put it. Charix, the Raging Isle. Special opponent cast that targets this creature, costs 2 more. An 0/17. Okay. For 3 mana, it gets +X -X until end of turn, where X is the number of islands you control. A fun card, but as you don't get to control how many +X -X is, I don't think this card is very good. And 0/17 is obviously a fun card, and I believe there are some strategies where you can simply force it to have the toughness to become the power as well. Yeah, but no, this card doesn't see a lot of play. I think it's more of a fringe card or a fun build around card. You can try to build around it if you get like 3 or 4 copies of it, and I believe there are some of the cards that supports it, but if you want a very successful deck, this is not the card you will want to have. Alright. Good card. This MDFC is a green 3 mana instant that have your creature fights another creature you do not control. So this is the card that we call the green removal spell. Is that it requires you to have a big creature in play, and then it fights another creature, as in they each deals damage to each other. So let's say if you have a 5/5, they have a 5/5. You cast this spell, they fight each other. Yours deals 5 damage to them. Theirs still 5 damage to yours, and they both die. Things like that. But if their creature is smaller than yours, you get a one-sided victory, like 5/5 versus a 4/4. You get to deal 5 damage to it, and it deals 4 damage to you. Then your creature will live, and their creature will die. So yeah, green removal spell, good card. Go straight into the green deck, I believe. The green the red green deck, I'm not sure because this kind of card, you want it to be on 2 mana to be more mana efficient, but it may be worth a try. Anything else? Okay, Ancient Green Warden. For 6 mana, you have a 5/7 Rich. Um, and a Mythic as well. You may play lands from your graveyard. So lands that enters your graveyard for whatever reason, if you have sacrificed it, your opponent have destroyed it, you can play it back from your graveyard. And if a land enters the battlefield, causes a triggered ability to trigger, it triggers an additional time. So this is the uh, ability where they just supports the landfall strategy, where when a land comes into play, it triggers an ability, so it doubles that effect. I've seen some play where they, yeah, I've seen some decks try to play this. I believe it is the the Scoot Swarm deck, I believe, where there is a lot of landfall triggers, and then with this on the battlefield, it doubles that triggers. More of an overkill card, to be honest, from my view, but it does allows you to play lands from your graveyard, so it's not as bad as it seems. Okay. This one, human rogue, rogues, right? This takes away a card from your opponent's hand. Good creature sees some play, I believe, in rogue decks. Some of the other, maybe like cleric or some such, try to exploit this by exploiting the party abilities to have your opponent reveals a lot more cards. See some play. I definitely will try to play it in some of the black decks in the future. Okay, so this is a MDF seal where it is also a creature, but just a 6 mana for a 4/5 trample is. I mean, if you are drafting, this is a great card, but if we are talking about a constructed deck, not very good. Saracen, there are a lot of rogue decks that play this Saracen. It's basically get flashed in with by 4 mana if the rogue is not blocked, which usually it won't get blocked because it has flying. So it gets to when it deals combat damage to an opponent, it gets to put a permanent card from their graveyard onto your battlefield. Very powerful effect. Sometimes you mill their deck and then they just have a powerful card sitting in the graveyard they may not be able to remove, and then Saracen just hit it, and then 4 damage, and a permanent that could just simply spell the end of the game. So powerful effect. A little bit slow, I believe, because like you're holding 4 mana and then you just attack into it, and then you are also tapped out. So I think you won't see 4 copies in rogue decks, I believe. But powerful card, powerful card. Okay. Yeah, this is one of the rune crab. This is one of the landfall creatures that sees a lot of play. It's a 1 mana for a 0/3. When a land enters your battlefield, each opponent builds 3 cards. This is a key card in some of the mill strategies, because turn 1 you just play it, and then just turn 2 you put a land into play, turn 3 you put a land into play. It's like mills 3, mills 3. If you have like a land that enters the battlefield and then you can sacrifice it to search for another land, then it becomes like the second turn is for one card, you can already mill your opponents for 6 cards, and then they will have to try to find a way to deal with it because the longer it sits on the battlefield, the more cards it is going to mill. Because lands are being put naturally into play every turn, and then your opponent, if they don't stop it, their library will be thinned very, very quickly. Horrorheim Chronicler. This is also another of the kicker spell, kicker creatures. Let me see. Yeah, you may. Yeah, whenever you cast a kicker spell, draw a card, then discard a card. Yeah, but okay, the first ability where whenever you cast a kicked spell, so you cannot just cast any kicker spell, you have to kick it. And after you kick it, draw a card and then discard a card. Not the most powerful abilities. I would expect that ability like this is whenever you cast a kicker spell, draw a card. But so if that is the case, then it is a threat that your opponent just needs to remove. But for 3 mana, there's a 2/2, a very fragile one already, and then this kind of effect not very good. But the second ability is sweet. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a card with a kicker ability from among them and put it into your hand. So it basically, when you put it into play, it instantly replaces itself with another kicker spell. So that once you cast it, hopefully it gets kicked, you get to draw a card and then discard a card. The loot effect is not irrelevant, but again, kicker strategy, not very powerful for the moment. So I don't see this. If you're trying to play like a green-blue kicker deck, this card is a must-have, and a 4-off as well. But not the not as powerful as other strategies, to be honest. Well, 5 to go. Again, Blood Chills first. Second copy, very good. Anything else? Rolling Growth. This is an instant that allows you to sack a land to search for 2 lands. The powerful thing about this spell is that it instantly triggers 2 landfall triggers. So you cast it and then you just sacrifice a land and then you just put 2 new lands into play. And once they enter the battlefield, you trigger 2 landfall triggers. Seeing some play, sacrifice a land is still painful, but yeah, I believe it sees some play. Tyberax, Hope's Demise, Demon Cleric. This goes straight into the white-black Cleric pre-constructed deck. 3 mana for a 2/2 flying. The stat is already good. This creature has lifelink as long as it has 5 or more +1/+1 counters on it. Usually it won't reach that much. The second ability, whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on it. If that creature was a cleric, you may draw a card. If you do, you lose 1 life. Very good. If another creature, presumably a cleric, dies, then it gets a +1/+1 counter. So it moves away from the shock range, with so-called shock range, where 2 damage can kill it. Also, if that creature was a cleric, you get to draw a card. So even if there is a cleric that dies, you get to instantly replace it with a card in your hand. Although the lose life is not as relevant because the cleric decks have a lot of abilities to gain life. So powerful card, go straight into the cleric deck. Nothing else, but the cleric deck is going to have some fun. Okay. Another MDFC, each opponent loses 4 life and you gain 4 lives. Not an effect that we are looking for. Skyclave's Shade. In a nutshell, this is a card that when you play land, it triggers the landfall where it allows you to play it from your graveyard onto the battlefield. So whether it gets milled inside or it gets killed or it gets countered, uh, this card is a very good card against control decks, I believe, and also the rogue decks as well, because it allows you to play from the from your graveyard, and it keeps coming back. So countering it does nothing, destroying it does nothing. Your opponent has to remove it from the game, and which they may not have that kind of effect. Good card. This. Okay, into the Royal. This is the kind of powerful kicker card that we are talking about. For 2 mana, you can return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand. And if you pay an additional 2 mana, you get to draw a card. Uh, Very good. Boomerang effects are very welcome. You can temporarily remove a threat from your opponent's battlefield. This goes straight into some of the blue decks, blue pre-constructed decks. Okay, anything else? This Murasa Sprouting is also the kicker supporting cards where if you cast it with a kicker, you get to return a kick spells from your graveyard to your hand. Uh, Again, if you are trying to build a blue green kicker spells decks, it is a must have. Otherwise, not as good. If the next set gets more kicker spells, I believe that might be a thing, but for now, it is not a top tier strategy, let's just say. Uh, this spell costs less to cast if it targets a creature whose controller has a more cost in their graveyard. Gain control of target creature with converted mana cost X. Usually the mill decks does not have this card. I don't believe, because the mill decks have a efficient package of handling other creatures, be it destroying it or returning it to owner's hand or countering it or whatever. So it doesn't come off uh, as often, I believe. Yes, it's not. It does not come up as often as one might think. This is, I believe, the party creature, right? Yes, it is. It is a creature. You can see creature elf, and then it is also a cleric, a rogue, a warrior, and a wizard. So it helps to fill up your party count. There are decks that tries to build with a bunch of this kind of creature, like they have all 4 of them, all 4 of the creature types, the cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard creature types, and then just start from there to try to turn on all the party effects. Very powerful, but also not very consistent, because if you are missing 1 or even 2 of them, it's going to cost you games. If it gets killed, it's going to cost you games. So not a very consistent strategy. Okay, this Bubble Snare also a kicker card that sees play in the kicker spell deck, but not much else, I believe. But this is also a very good way of stopping a creature on the battlefield from attacking you from a blue for a blue deck. So maybe we will have this on some of our blue decks. I don't know. Moving on. Not much. Okay, a rare card, rare wild card. Always welcome. Okay, the last pack. Cerulean Vision. So this is a card that for 3 mana you can look at the top 6 cards of your library. reveal and install a sorcery card and then put it into your hand. So it takes for 6 card deep into your library for an install sorcery card. You have to reveal them, your opponent is going to see them, but it is a useful card in some of the control lists where they are just trying to dig for a key spells, maybe dig for a wrath effect, a board wipe effect, or maybe dig for a counter spell to stop a planeswalker or an artifact from resolving. Good card this. Not much else. Oh, and a mythic wild card. That's good. That's good. Okay. Also, we have here a Kaladesh pack. I want to say this. All the packs we have opened before it is a for standard play. The Kaladesh remastered packs. It is, I believe, the first set available on Magic Arena. It is currently not standard legal anymore because it has been rotated away, but they are reprinting it because that set is a lot of fun to play. It has a lot of broken cards in it, but it is a lot of fun to play. I get this one from a promo code as well. So yeah, please note that these cards are not going to go into our decks, but at least the standard decks. But maybe historic decks, who knows? We might play it at some time. Okay, let's see. Is there any? Yeah, you can see that they feature the energy mechanics where when you play some of the cards, it gives you the energy token, and then you just spend the energy token on some of the spells and for some very powerful effects. Very good, very good. Good fun. Okay. You may cause a control. Yep. So this is the kind of cards that I believe looks good, but it's not what you may want, because it draws card equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. So let's say if you have a 5/5 on the battlefield, you cast this, you get to draw 5 cards. Powerful, right? And then you may also cast a spell with converted mana cost 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Good in some decks where you can also put an the option is that you can also put an other big creatures onto the battlefield. But for a 6 mana, you play this spell, you if you control a big creature, then you are probably and it is sitting on the battlefield without getting destroyed, you are already winning the game. So you probably don't need to have this effect. So this is kind of the win more card. The way I see it is that it's more of a win more card that makes it not as good. I know a lot of new players love this kind of cards, like, oh, this do a very big stuff. A lot when I pump a lot of mana, I get to do this, and oh my god, if we draw a lot of cards, I must have a powerful cards where I can cast it without paying its mana cost. Yes, to a point, and yes, maybe sometimes you get to, like in 10 games, you may have to have the chance to win like 1 or 2 games from it. If that is what you're looking for, of course, it's a lot of fun to play that way. But if you are trying to play competitively, or at least winning is somewhat more relevant to you, this card probably isn't the best card to put into a deck. But anyway, they are not standard legal anyway. So, okay, so the pack opening, this took a little bit longer than I expected. I'll cut the video here, and next time I will go into the decks and then take a look at all the decks we have, the pre-constructed decks, and try to, and also maybe those mono color decks as well. and then try to modify them and make them to become more consistent and more competitive and see if we can win some games. So until next time, I'll see you again in the next episode. Goodbye.